Alright, so today I'll be rating the Wings of Fire book covers. The English ones because the German ones I don't know. I think they're cool, but like we don't have the full set. And I will not touch the Chinese ones with a 39.5 foot pole. Okay, so let's start with the Dragonet Prophecy. This one's a classic, I think. It's the first cover, and for most of us, it probably introduced the series. In my opinion, it's not the best cover, but I do like it. I think that Clay's pose is interesting, the color scheme is very nice, and it does a good job conveying the adventurous feelings of the book. However, that's about where the good things end. I think Clay's expression is pretty bland. He's just going, ah, instead of looking around in wonder, glancing at his friends in concern or love, even as they fly away from the Sky Palace. But no, ah, that's it. You don't get a feel for his character. In addition, the background's it could be done better. I like the inclusion of the water and the flying fish, but land should be closer. Perhaps he could fly over a river rather than the ocean, which does actually happen in the book. I award this cover 3 stars for being iconic, creative, and visually appealing, but 2 stars are redacted for lack of personality and not being particularly accurate to the book. Next up, The Lost Heir. I appreciate this cover. Tsunami simply looks stunning, and her personality is definitely more defined than Clay's. Most of my issue with it comes with the fact that her hind legs look tiny, she doesn't have the royal patterns, and this doesn't really convey the feeling of the book as very well. Clay's cover had a sense of flying through the air and general adventure. This cover doesn't show the whole wonder uncertainty combo I got from the book. This book cover gets 3 stars for the nice underwater scenery and Tsunami's expression, but 2 redacted for lack of story and Tsunami's half-sized legs. Alright, time for the Hidden Kingdom. This cover is pretty good, honestly. The bright warm colors of Glory's roughened wings nicely stand out against the greens and blues. Her legs aren't half-sized, and I think her posture shows how uncomfortable and awkward it is among these relaxed, team-working dragons who are so unlike her. I think that this cover's plot would be fairly hard to show as a drawing, so I'm not going to say that was done badly, since I wouldn't know how to do it well. However, I think Mangrove, Jambu, or Kinkajou would do nicely in the background. I rate this 4 stars, since 3.5 is an option. 4 are given for the visual appeal, color scheme, and Glory's personality conveyed through her appearance. 1 star is redacted for the lack of other dragons. Yay, this one. I don't like the Dark Secret cover. Starflight's just yodeling into the sky with no personality. The sky is vividly blue for some reason. I mean, I appreciate a break from the orange, red, and black, but that could have been done by showing him standing at the shore of the volcanic island with mostly gray and black colors, with his scales and glimpses of lava in the background, providing the color break. Personality could have been provided by having him looking up and back at the volcano with concern. I think that artistically, this is a pretty good cover, but for Starflight's book, the shy, nerdy one's book, this ain't it. 2 stars because Starflight doesn't actually look bad, but 3 stars are redacted for the fact that Starflight has no personality whatsoever, and the overbright background is kind of annoying and stupid. Okay, this cover. I love the Nightwing details in Sunny's snout, down her sides, and in the way her sandwing frill turns to spikes towards the end of her tail. But she looks pretty boring. She's yelling like 85% of the protagonists on the covers. I do love the background and the bright comet in the sky, though. 4 stars. Sunny's design is great, the background is nice, and it is visually appealing. But she has no personality, and her tail is covered in sand for some reason. Finally, a cover with personality. Moon isn't yelling, there's more than one moon, and there's more than one dragon on the cover banner. Turtle inclusion! In addition, I appreciate the color scheme. 5 stars. She isn't yelling, her face has personality, it's a cool color scheme, there's a nice background, and turtles on the cover, which I really appreciate. I can't really say what could be done to make it better, which means I can't really deduct points. If I could, I'd give this a 4.5, but I'm just rounding up here. Let's just take a moment to appreciate that Winter has really big wings. I appreciate the purple background in the sky here, but I don't know how I feel about Winter being in the Ice Kingdom. He could have been in the Ice Trial Caves, for instance, or in the mountains looking for Scarlet. He isn't yelling or flying, which is neat, and I love the way that his horns aren't perfectly straight. If you look closely, they look kind of like icicles. However, I think the background doesn't really suit this book. 4 stars for attention to detail and interesting posture. 1 star deducted for ill-fitting background. Yay, another cover with 2 dragons on it instead of just the protagonist. I love this cover. It's got everything: personality, color, accurate background, another dragon on the cover who also has personality. Peril deserves no less. 5 full stars. I think the cover is actually better than the Moon Rising cover, if I'm being honest. Props to Joy Yang. Talons of Power. An interesting book. But we're not talking about the story, we're talking about the cover. I appreciate the little brighter green hints and turtle scales, and the personality and uniqueness to his design. I also love Anemone and her personality. Now, the bad parts. Turtle's royal markings. I don't really like this take on the appearance of the Sea Wing's royal markings, because the spiral patterns, they're not the only part to the royal markings. The webbed talonprint designs are there too, and Turtle doesn't have any. Also, who's the dragon flying around overhead? Who is this? 4 stars. Cool, but I would have done the royal markings differently and removed the dragon flying overhead. Queebly's pose in the Darkness of Dragons cover is good, but where did his scar go? It just disappeared. His freckles are almost non-existent too. He doesn't have much personality, though I do like his interesting pose and the ruins of the Night Kingdom behind him. I can't get over his missing scar, though. 4 stars for the detail in the scales, background, and interesting pose. 1 star deducted because his scar and freckles are almost invisible. First off, blue isn't exactly blue. I like the colors on his right lower arm and in a few other spots on his body, but mostly he's just pale green and purple. Except for his wings, which are pretty boring. They're 2 shades of blue there, and I imagine them to be more vibrant and more like a butterfly's wings, but these are just plain, like, construction paper cutouts. His detailing is nice, but then there's the fact that he shouldn't be out flying because he doesn't get his wings in this book. Cricket and the lack of yelling cannot save this cover. I do like his expression, and the scale details are beautiful, but I still don't like this cover. Also, the hives are too small. They should be roughly the size of a huge city, not a big apartment building, and compared to the size of the dragons, that's how big they are. I also think that in the canonical universe, there would be less dragons flying around in the background. 2 stars for visual appeal, personality, cricket, and lack of screaming, but 3 stars redacted for canonical inaccuracy. This cover is much better than the last one. The background is thorough, and Cricket really does have personality. I appreciate the warm colors, though they're a bit overboard. What I don't appreciate is the fact that the high wings in the background all look the same. No reds, no oranges, only stripes, and no decoration, despite the fact that this is supposed to be jewel high, with lots of jewels. Also, it's improbable that Cricket would be flying around without her disguise, since so many dragons are in the background. 3 stars, since 3.5 isn't an option. Good personality, and I love the attention to detail, but the unbroken warm colors, improbability of the scene, and uniform hind legs take away from it. The main issue I have with this book is that Sundew has no pouches. I love the attention to detail on her scales, and her posture is cool. The accents of red are nice, and the poison wings in the background are pretty neat. However, she needs her leaf pouches. In addition, she doesn't have much personality, and if you ignore the leafling in the dragon trap, the place doesn't really look too dangerous. I mean, it doesn't look like a place you'd want to be, but it doesn't feel like a living organism that wants to eat you and turn your bones to nutritious sludge for the plants. It's not spooky enough. 3 stars for detail, unique color scheme, posture, and attention to plants and dragons in the background, but 2 stars deducted for Sundew's lack of personality and how the general area doesn't feel very dangerous. This is supposed to be a spooky place. Make it look that way. I won't be rating book 14 since it hasn't come out yet, and as such, I don't know much about Snowfall's personality and the contents of the book itself. However, I do love the colors, and I think it will be a great book.